Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today, we're gonna do a Tower Heroes tier list. Whoa! With the new NUKI Tower. So, recently they just got buffed with stun immunity, more damage per level, and a better splash radius. And more range for the Nukis themselves. Alright, so first up, we're gonna talk about Stella. Stella is really strong right now because, well, it's Stella. You can see the drawings orders right there, etc, etc. Best one is Bomb, splash damage plus high damage. Next one is the long range, slow, high damage dealing. Next is just the basic one. You can see the stats on screen right now, if I remember the edit them. Snowman or Snowman Yin, slow down, short range, burst like attack, I think, bad damage, and next is Gem, which is just Sal. There's no reason to use them. Basically, Stella has the highest potential DPS in the game. You just gotta remember to not have like too many towers near her, and she's very map dependent. Like, you'll want her on Timeless Tower or any short placement map, but on like raid maps or like Bleak Barrens, she will shred everything. Anyways, next tower is going to be Spectre and Balloon Pow. These two are literally needed for every single match. That's it. You can see the stats right there. Next tower we're going to talk about now is Scientist. Scientist is pretty much just the ultra late game tower. Not really, not ultra late, just the mid to late game tower. She has insane DPS, a decent limit, fat placement, but good range, really good range. Not Quinn's range though, yeah, it's still really good. You can see the stats on screen right now. Yeah, and last is Lemonade Cat, which we don't need to talk about. You don't even need stats. Everyone should be owning Lemonade Cat, except for starters. And next we have a plus tier, or top 10. We have Yusuke. Yusuke is pretty much the boss shredder, enemy shredder, or whatever you want. He's a early to late game tower. His level 3 is pretty good in early, and he has a really strong late game too, especially with that ability. You can pretty much the basic strat with him is just Hot Dog Frank, Yusuke, Lemonade Cat, Spectre, Balloon. This is literally the best solo build for most maps. Yeah, it's good for speedrunning, it's good for just doing a normal match, and it's just really good for solos. He's really good. He can also work in like quads with like ranged towers in the back to help with like damage in leaks, while he does like insane damage to high HP units. Which we'll talk about Nuki later, which he'll come in later. Yeah. Next is Quinn. Quinn is the long range, high damage, slow fire rate tower. His ability is mediocre, honestly, but it's good compared to the rest of the abilities, because like they range from really good to ass. But yeah, Quinn, main reason you're gonna be using him is for the same strat you want to use him with Yusuke in. One player has Yusuke dealing insane damage to the front. In the back, you have Quinn, Scientist, Voka, Nuki, whatever. Oh, I spoiled strat with Nuki. Oh well, it doesn't matter. El Goblino. As I said with the Yusuke strategy, you can do that with El Goblino to help with the front line too. Pretty much, you wait for enemies to get hit with the crucifix with Yusuke, with Elgab, I mean, and then you use Yusuke ability to absolutely shred, and the boss will get stunned again, and it's most likely over for the boss, while you have, like, Nukis in the front that already do earlier damage. Nukis pretty much just go in the front line with... I don't know why I'm talking about Nuki right now. Next is Branch, which... Branch is just the fast attacker, fast burst tower with high mid damage and mid range. And actually, it's good damage, but whatever. Branch is just used in early to late game. He also has Splash on level 2+, so yeah, he's not expensive. He's just good overall. I just think Quinn is just a bit better. And last but not least, in the A+ section is Discount Dog. Discount Dog is just your discounter and limit increaser and damage decreaser. You're using Discount Dog in duos plus. You're not really using him in solos, though there was a strategy that did use him actually. I don't remember what the towers were, but I just remember seeing a strategy that used Discount Dog in solos, so that's pretty impressive. Alright, in A tier we have Bite. Bite is the stun tower. He used to do damage, but doesn't now, but that's irrelevant. What he does do is stun. You're just using him for level 4 and 5, nothing else. I don't know why you would place him early on, because level 1 to 3 have this dumb under HP mechanic, which is useless as fuck. As, like, why would you use those levels? You're not gonna use him early or mid-game. You're gonna use him during late game. So, I don't know why they added these. Add back his damage, because it was literally no damage. Like, I don't think 17 damage is gonna kill anything. Anyways, Bite, it's same as El Goblino. In my personal opinion, I think El Gob is a bit better, because Crucifix ability. Crucifix. But Bite level 4 and 5 strat is really good. You can stall the boss a bit longer with Bite because of the thing, but the stun on Elgob is just so much better. But because Crucifix and Yusuke. Anyway, yeah, just another stunner that you'll use with Elgob, of course. Anyways, next is Hot Dog Frank. Hot Dog Frank is the full AoE tower that has no limit, unlike a certain tower, which we'll be talking about at the very end of the video. But, Hot Dog Frank, full AoE tower with a slow fire rate, insane damage, and really good range for a melee tower. As I said earlier with Yusuke, you're pairing him with Yusuke, or for just early game, And just for AoE cleanup, this guy, sometimes I consider placing him in A+, but I don't know. I think I should, but I don't know. Maybe later tier list. The most surprising one is probably going to be NUKI Launcher. NUKI Launcher, I think, has insane potential, especially since it got massive buffs, and might get better buffs in the future. Right now, I think it's in a good spot. You can use the strat I said earlier with Yusuke, where the Nukis are up in the front dealing damage with Yusuke and Hot Dog Frank. On the back, you have Nuki, Quinn, Voka, Scientist, Branch, whatever long range hero you're using. And since the buffs, the burst attacks, each burst attack no longer take HP. Once a burst happens, it'll only take 1 HP and never lose HP till it does another burst attack. So, yeah. Really good buff. It keeps them up longer since they can't get healed by Mataki. And they're also decent early. The launcher itself is pretty damn good. Kinda. It has splash damage. But the Nukis themselves are really powerful and carry them. Because... So, on multi-lane maps, since it leaves Nukis there, you don't have to care about the area as much, because Nukis are literally defending the area for you. And you'll have Nukis on the other side, under lane 2. So, yeah, this hero is just really good. But if they buff its limit to 2, I think it'll be, honestly, top 10. This thing is going to have insane potential, honestly. Next is Mataki. Mataki is just the poison full AoE tower on level 3, and there's basic AoE on level 3. On 4, it has 4 and 5, it has full AoE. And level 1 and 2 is single target. Mataki is just the poison tower. The early game tower. Sure, it'll miss enemies, but she's really cheap, unlike Dumpster Child. So you can put more in the back. Dumpster Child would be really good, but, like, I don't know why you would use him over Mataki when, like, Mataki exists. Her poison lasts longer. I think. You can see it stats on screen. I think it lasts longer, but I think that might be the earlier levels. Dumpster Child level 4 and 5 have longer effects, I'm pretty sure. But, whatever. Yeah, Mataki has lower damage than Dumpster, but at cost of being cheaper to level 4. But by the time your Mataki is level 4, your other players are probably going to be done with their farming. Keep in mind, the player with Mataki is most likely the one to be not farming. Yeah. Also, she does have a passive with summoners, where she heals them, so that's pretty good. She's great with Haze and Beatrice. Too bad they're weak, though. Anyways, next is Wizard. Why is Wizard good? Well, there's another strategy with duos where you can have free supports on one player And they just have Lemonade Cat, the free supports, and Wizard. The other player will have the 2 stuns, Bite and El Goblino, Mataki, and then fuck, I can't think. Scientist, Branch, Quinn, Hot Dog, instead of Mataki, maybe. Yeah, that's basically it. You can do that strat, and you will do really good. Next is Lure. Ever since they have gotten that buff with their DPS, and they got an ability that helps them clean up with AoE, they've been in a good spot. Well, it's not AoE, it's just more like targeting multiple enemies for just paying ability. I think it's best to keep around 3 or 4 with each lure, because it gets way too expensive, and there will most likely be around 3 to 4 enemies per being sent out at once anyway, so I think it's best to just keep it at that. Yeah, insane DPS, horde range, kinda. Great ability, great fire rate, great burst. Overall, a really good DPS tower. Next is Chef. Chef is just really good. You can replace him for Yusuke. You can replace him for Yusuke. He just has shorter range and a slower attack speed. That's it, and has no ability. So, yeah, he's a decent replacement to Yusuke if you can't get Yusuke, or you're not high enough level, or you just don't have any friends. Anyway, next is Soda Pop. Soda Pop is the AoE tower. He deals high damage, has a really good splash radius, and has bad range and cost a lot. He also has a slow fire rate. He's just decent. I think he's underrated, but, like, at the same time, there's not a lot of strategies you can really use this guy in. Like, he's good, but, like, there's so many better options. Anyways, now we'll talk about B tier. In B tier, we have Kart Kid. Kart Kid is pretty much just a basic summoner that drives a car. That's it. The only special gimmick about him is that on level 5, he turns invincible for 7 seconds. That's about it. There's nothing special about Kart Kid. Yeah. Next is Slime King, which is the fast, high HP for some reason summoner. Like, what I mean by fast is fast spawning. Not the fastest. Fastest is odd port. But, what's Slime King good for? Early game, and that's pretty much it. He's super cheap and can help a lot in early game. Kart Kid is just the high HP, slower summoning one. I don't know. Anyways, next is Oddport. Oddport is pretty much the one limit, literally, summoner that has, HP, deals damage, stops when enemies are in range. Basically like a Barak Tower and TB Tower Battles, or Elf Camp, I guess, kinda, in TDS. The main thing about Oddport that makes them somewhat good is level 3. They have lives now, which means they can take a lot of HP and deal a lot of damage. On level 4 or 5, they get 3 lives. That's insanely good. I have no idea why they gave them lives, but whatever. Next is Bunny. Bunny is just alright. Medium DPS, medium fire rate, and alright range. He's just balanced overall. He has a special ability that's just a bit gimmicky, I guess you can call it. Next is just Wafer. Wafer is way too melee dependent for a ranged tower. Basically his special gimmick is the closer the enemies are to him, the more damage he deals. While Odd Pour is just random damage, I think. I'm not sure. Yeah. Wafer just... It's an issue that Chef has, where some maps just have way too many stunning enemies that they become not viable. Yeah. In C tier, we have Dumpster Child. Dumpster Child is the fire / radioactive tower. He's expensive, which doesn't really help him. His damage is a bit lower till level 3-4. He does miss pretty badly on level 1. Level 2, he gets a bit better. 3, he doesn't really miss as much. And 4 is never missing, just like with Mataki though. His range is short, so is Mataki's. He just doesn't have as much use as Mataki, honestly, because there's more fire characters than poison or like mushrooms. But there is no radioactive. I mean, there is some radioactive, but like only like 3 or 5 of them are radioactive. There's no reason to really use Dumpster Child over Mataki. Mataki can unstun heroes and is cheaper on level 1 and has a better level 1 for some reason. I don't know why Dumpster Child level 1 is so expensive and yet there's a better hero for it, but whatever. Dumpster Child is just meh. You can still use him good though. Like, he has some use, but yeah. I would just rather use Mataki unless there's poison on the map. But if there's both poison and fire, then we're going Hot Dog Frank. Like Chaos Kingdom. Next is Voka. Voka does good damage, has the best range in the game, not counting NUKI Launcher, and has an awful fire rate, but has huge splash damage. So, pretty much Soda Pop, but with big range instead of small range and high. Actually, no, wait. Soda Pop has more damage, but a much better fire rate. I don't know. Whatever. Voka, I mean, she's just alright. You're not gonna really be using her on a whole lot of maps. Like, I think the most you'll use her on is Honeycomb Heist. But even then, there's Quinn and NUKI Launcher right there. Though I personally wouldn't use NUKI Launcher over Voca on Honeycomb, but still a thought that, like, you can do that, strat. Yusuke strat with NUKI. Anyways, next is Sparks Kilowatt. After they nerfed her hard, like, a long while ago, she's just been in a mid spot where she's only good in Survive. The Build to Survive map. Because she's cheap and does good DPS for early game there. But, other than that, I genuinely don't know the use for her anymore. She's just way too expensive, has an 8 limit, and does good DPS, but I don't know. Why would you use her when there's much better DPS options? Branch is right there. He has splash damage on all of his attacks. Sparks does not have splash, I think, on her rocket. Yeah, no, I don't think she does have splash at all on her rockets. So it's just her bullets, and then one rocket, and cooldown, and that's it. While Branch has just attacks with splash constantly, pretty quick, and then goes on cooldown. I don't know. Why would you use her when there's better DPS options? Next is Haze. Haze is the only infinite range tower in the game right now. Yeah. Yeah, infinite range. The only infinite range tower in the game. He just summons birds that deal damage. They have HP that can be healed by Mataki, unlike NUKI, but have lower DPS and are hard to kind of keep up if you don't have enough Mataki. If it's like Honeycomb Heist, it's kind of hard to keep up with the birds, but overall, he's just meh. Like, the infinite range is good, but, like, why would you use him when you can have a high-ranged, high DPS hero like Quinn or Scientist? Alright, we're in D tier now. Starting with Fracture. Fracture, honestly, I could hire him and put Haze in D, but Fracture, what is he good for? High DPS. The bad, super short range, horrendous range, and has a huge placement box. Not even, at least Scientist and Quinn have huge range with a big fat placement box, so you can place them farther back, while Fracture has to be up closer. Like, his DPS is actually really good. He has one of the best DPS in the game. The bad is his range and placement box, when it doesn't really make sense why he has a big placement box, but I don't care. I don't understand why they make a hero like this, but he is for starters. Let's just ignore, Dark Frank, Scientist, Stellar, Spectre, Blue Pow, Cat. Anyways, next is Bebo. After his range nerf, he's just been gut. He's just been dog. Like, why would you use him when his range is dog shit now? Which means, so, before, he was pretty good, despite having the con that he'll sometimes fly over an enemy that he's attacking. But since he had better range, so that con wasn't as big of a deal as before. But now that con is much bigger deal, and despite him having some of the best DPS in the game, it's no longer enough to make up for that loss of a kill that you could have done with just Scientist, Quinn, Nuki, Wizard, Branch, Stella, Yusuke, whatever. Next is Keith. Keith is just awful. There's no reason to use him. Why would you need a cheap hero that loses damage for simply doing his job? At least he has early game. He does good in early game, though. Place him in a decent spot, and he'll do good in early game, but fall off hard in late. And the last tier, F tier, Beatrice. Useless ability, it just summons Casper Bee, or I think it's called. And it just has basically bees around it that just attack enemies, and it's a bad ability. And Beatrice herself does low damage and has range, unlike Haze. She's similar to Haze, but has more bees, but has range for some reason. There's different types of bees she can summon, but I don't think they're actually anything different. I think they're literally just cosmetic, really. Next is Jester. Jester is pretty much the everything tower, kinda, except he doesn't do direct DPS himself. He just does effects to deal damage, or summon. But basically he is a summoner, a effect tower, and a farm. But he can also do the opposite. He can spawn the enemies, hurt your track towers, or take away your mana. So, yeah. He's RNG dependent, which puts him down in F. But I still think he has more use than our last tower, Vault. Vault has nothing good going for him. He has low DPS, he has low range, and he has a fast fire rate, and he has limited AoE. Now, let's think about this. Why would you need a tower that has a limited AoE that also loses damage per enemy in his range and isn't stun immune like Lure is? But there's also Hot Dog Frank that doesn't have an limit to his AoE. There's also Volt points, which just give him extra range now instead of losing him damage like it did before, and apparently counting to the tower limit. I have no idea how the devs fucked up that badly. Anyways, that's in the past, so we're talking about the present now. Present, now it's just purely extra range, that's just mana dump. It's still the worst ability in the game because it's Vault. Like, I don't know why you're wasting 3,000, 6,000, 9,000, and then 10,000, 11,000 for just extra range on an already awful tower. Yeah. This is the video. Hope y'all enjoy it. See you guys tomorrow, never, or whatever. Bye.